So now that we've all learned how we can be engaged and powerful readers, we're going to switch gears just a little bit and talk to authors and writers and people who are, creating these wonderful new children's books. So how do you find this tribe of engaged readers that you can show to a potential publisher, that you have people who are on your team, who are anxious not only to buy your book for themselves, but to help promote it to a much wider audience? I've heard an acquisitions editor say that she would rather see 300 engaged readers more than just 3,000 Twitter followers or Instagram followers. These engaged readers can really harness a lot of power for helping you get your message out. So how do you find them? Of course, everyone tells an author, use social media, but how can you use it to your best advantage to really engage with your followers and your readers and really find the people who are going to really be on your team? I think probably the first sort of rule to follow is to try to keep your messaging focused on your sort of professional author account. So this can be, different people kind of recommend different numbers of topics to focus on. Probably you don't want to be posting about too many more than maybe 3 to 5 topics of things that, interest you, that you think will interest your readers, and of course that relate to things that you write about. But don't be hyper-focused on only promoting your books, because that's not very interesting. People don't want to just get basically your ads all the time. So, post about things that are sort of related to things. So if you like to write books about kindness, you can do topics related to kindness, acts of kindness that you perform for others, noticing acts of kindness in your community, different things like that. And here it's really important to remember to be realistic. There are many, many ways of trying to sort of game the system and, kind of grab followers and try to really build up your numbers. You can make yourself crazy running after stuff like that. And again, it may or may not be that effective for you if you're kind of inflating your numbers with people who are not necessarily really engaged with what you're doing. So, spend the time, energy, and money that makes sense for you. You can really spend unlimited time, energy, and money trying to build your audience and build your platform. Don't make this the end goal of your life or of your writing. You do need time to be, living your life and writing the books that you want to write. And I think that will make you a much more interesting person and author for people to engage with, rather than being constantly obsessed with trying to build the platform. Another thing that many authors are using really effectively is launch teams. So when you have a book coming out, or again, when you have maybe it's, the first anniversary of your book or the 5th anniversary of your book, or another, maybe a holiday that really ties into your book if you have a seasonal book, or, something, if your book features bananas and, International Banana Day is coming up, you can build a launch team and sort of run an online launch event. You can put this together yourself, or there are professionals out there who will help you do this. So my tips, I've been on several launch teams, and kind of my tips for making it an enjoyable experience and one that people will want to come back and do again, are to keep the asks, kind of the jobs or the tasks that you're going to ask your readers to complete as easy as possible. Make it easy for everyone to participate with little effort and no guilt or pressure. You want to be really careful about asking people to buy the book or spend money on the book. I think you can assume that people are interested in helping you be successful. They probably are going to buy at least a copy for themselves. But making a specific ask of like, buy this certain number of copies, I would try to avoid stuff like that. That tends to exclude people who don't have a lot of extra money to be spending. And, if you make your tasks really complicated and really that are going to, take someone, hours or even, 15, 20 minutes each to complete, that's going to be intimidating, and people are going to feel like they can't participate and be part of that. So, there can be maybe 1 or 2 sort of bigger asks, but you really want to make sure that that's mixed in with plenty of things that people can do in, a couple minutes or even a few seconds. Things like, like a post, share a post, sign up for this, things like that. Of course, you are going to want to ask for reviews and ratings and the things that are going to help you move the needle a little bit more. But along with the asking, you want to make sure that you are incentivizing and rewarding, these people who are giving their time and attention to be part of your street team or to be part of your launch team, especially for a bigger ask. One author has set up a point system where for every task you did during the launch period, you could earn a certain number of points that could then be sort of spent in a special shop that she created. That obviously is pretty time intensive, but it was really fun, and it just makes it enjoyable to kind of be part of that group. And then you want to try to then transition your launch team into your ongoing tribe. So some people call this a street team, or your in-group or your tribe or whatever it is you want to call it. So you can keep that private Facebook group open past the launch date, continue to engage with people, but also that's a time to not necessarily be focusing, to continue focus so much on asks or giving people to-dos, but to just, engage and maybe solicit a little more input from your readership at that point. Another really powerful thing to do is to find people who are in the same boat as you. So look for communities of authors or other creatives that you can join. This can be really helpful not only for support, because you're all kind of in this together, trying to write, trying to create, trying to find your readers or an audience, but these people can also be great readers and great supporters. And just kind of help each other out. So there are a lot of great communities out there, if you want to try to find a local community so that you can maybe have some actual face-to-face time, or one that's, only online that can draw people from all over the place. But I would really encourage you to seek those things out: collectives, author groups, writing groups, things like that. And when you're a part of one of those groups, make sure that you're paying it forward, that you are, joining launch teams when people ask, that you're, helping share about books that you like from your fellow authors, that you're, following them, that you're signing up for their newsletters, so that you can all help each other and kind of lift each other up and help bear the burden of getting a book out into the world. Another important thing to do is to harness your connections. Maybe even, think outside the box here. What are some organizations that you're connected to or that you belong to that don't necessarily have anything to do with books, but that might be interested in a topic that one of your books is about? Perhaps they would be interested in featuring your book in one of their newsletters or other media, or perhaps they would even be interested in setting up some kind of special sale where they could have some of their branding connected to your book, or they could do it as a giveaway or something like that. So, think about who your connections are and think about how you could pursue those. Maybe there are community events or local events, probably not as much in these seasons, but when we start doing that again, a lot of times, local fairs or events will welcome local authors to be part of that. Public libraries may have local author events. Sometimes local bookstores have local author events. So see what you can do in your community, even if it's not necessarily strictly book related. Your church, who do you know in the church? Definitely make sure you gift a copy of your book to the church library if they have one. Make sure that your pastor leadership, the kids ministry knows about your book and how it could be helpful in what they're doing. And just who else do you know, and kind of what circles did they move in that you could maybe find readers through one of those people. Don't be afraid to ask the people that the people that, know and love you. Of course, keep your asks respectful and, make it as beneficial for the person you're asking as possible. But, your community may be full of people who would just love to help you out. They just don't know exactly how to do it. So help them become powerful readers as well. Another important tool is to kind of resource up, to build resources around your books, things like educational materials. Do you have discussion guides for your book? Do you have, maybe you could write a lesson plan. Maybe you could write, do a fun activity or a coloring page. Sometimes your publisher can help you with this. Other times you may have to go it on your own, but there are a lot of different ideas for things you could do. You can make, and those things can turn into giveaways or incentives for your readers, for newsletter sign up, things like that. Or you can, even just create a resource page on your website that you can share with educators, teachers, librarians, to help them see your book as a valuable resource for their classroom or for the people that they're serving. Another thing that you could do is even maybe a scripture reading plan or a devotional plan to go along with your book if you want it to be focused more towards the church space, or for parents and families to do with their kids. So that's another thing that you can promote to your readers as a way to connect more with your book if the content connects well with that. Reader incentives are a fun thing, a fun way to connect with readers. Again, anytime you're going to ask readers to do something, it's really nice to reward them in some way. Many authors run giveaways, which is great. Anytime that you can, reward everybody who's helped you out, that's wonderful, kind of depending on your budget and what you're able to do. And of course, always making sure to express your gratitude and your appreciation for these, wonderful, powerful readers who are using their superpowers to get your books out into the world. And finally, I just want to take a minute to remind us all, this can feel really challenging at times. It can feel pretty daunting as, for those of us who are new authors kind of trying to break into what can feel like a very crowded space, what can feel like a lot of noise surrounding us. And sometimes it can be easy to wonder, as writers, are we ever going to find our readers? And as readers, are we ever going to find the writers who are writing the books that we actually want? So I think it's important for us all to remember, why we're doing this, why we love these books, why we love writing them, why we love reading them, to remember the children that God loves, and that we are all of us God's children, and that He has given us the gift of creativity and the gift of being able to tell stories and to experience the beauty of art and just all the wonderful things that can be bound up in a book. Thanks for joining me for this talk. I hope you found some useful information, and I'll see you soon for the Q&A.